5 best, 5 worst modifications you can do to your G37 or really any car, but this is going to be specific here. These modifications are going to be cosmetic and performance, a little bit of both. We got 5 good, 5 bad really, and kind of just my personal preference, so don't get too mad. I'm literally running some of the modifications that I think are bad. Number 1 modification that I think is immediately going to change your car is getting different wheels. And what I think is the best idea is getting stock Nissan wheels. I think, personally, these are the 370Z wheels. I think getting Nissan Z wheels or other things that came from Nissan are 100% the move for the G37. I think other Nissan wheels, especially from the Zs, look so good on these cars, and it is one of the best, and it's just one of the best visual mods that you can really do that just make the car look good. A modification I definitely think you shouldn't do to G37s, especially the coupes, is the Acon whatever Amazon special GTR headlights. I bought these pretty early. This was actually, I think, my first cosmetic mod on the car, and I'm gonna be honest, I do not like these anymore. It's like, it's overused. It's kind of just like, oh, baby GTR. I want it to be a G37 coupe. I don't want to own up. I want to own up to it being a G37 coupe. I know it's not a GTR. I don't want it to look like a GTR. Hopefully, I'm getting new headlights soon, which is going to bring me into another one of a good modifications. Get aftermarket headlights, just not these ones, I think. I think they look better than stock, yes, but it just kind of sucks because they're so basic, which is why I think it's almost better to go with what I think I'm gonna get, which is the Spec Ds. I think they look very good, and the daytime running lights, I think they're better quality, they're better brand. Those are definitely a lot better. Even kind of getting the black housing for the stock headlights, I'll put a picture there. I think those look good. Although they don't have like a cool different design, they're a little sleeker and they're not as common for people to have. So many people have these, and it just kind of sucks because like it's kind of unoriginal. Even with the Spec Ds, it's kind of unoriginal. There's not a ton of aftermarket options for these. There are the more expensive version of these, like the Alpha Rex and stuff. They're almost $1,000. They do look better, but I just think the GTR style is so overplayed kind of now. And something like the Spec D, it's a cooler option and it looks a little different. Now back to another one of the worst modifications you can do is what they call a hot air intake or the short intake. So I am running the long tube intake, which is the one you should. The tubes are going on the sides, getting the air up front, ramming air in there. It's a long tube intake. You do not want the short ones that just sit there and replace the stock air boxes. They are worse than the stock ones. They literally do less for you, and all they're doing is getting worse air. If you are currently running those, literally find some stock air boxes. They are worse for your horsepower. It is hotter air than the stock air boxes. Do not run those short air intakes. They are worse for your car. But now going back to one of the best modifications, and it's the way you can see my intake, and that is an aftermarket grill. So this is an aftermarket grill. As you know, the stock one is silver and it's got a horizontal line, and you can't really see in there, especially with an aftermarket intake. You want an aftermarket grill like this. There's multiple options. There's another one that I think I'm gonna switch to, which is kind of the thinner, like graded pattern, as you can see, but this is the one I have. Definitely an aftermarket grill is a must. Even for a while, I ran the horizontal line one that looks stock, but it was black. I think it just looks so much better. A very simple cosmetic modification that just makes such a difference on these cars. Back to a modification you really want to avoid, that is straight piping this car right here. I understand it. I was straight piped at one point, literally too. I had test pipes and a muffler delete. I understand it. Try to run it for the least amount of time as possible. You're hurting everyone's ears. My car sounded so bad when it was straight piped. It was just awful. Like, it's just not a good sound. I know it's loud, but loud does not equal better, especially with any VQ car. It just really does not. Do not try to straight pipe your car. It's not gonna sound good. Put some resonators in, do something. Try to avoid at all costs being straight piped. It just is not a good sound. I mean, I know I have a VQ, but I'll dog on this car because I love it. I love this car, but you kind of have to admit they sound like shit sometimes. Just, if you can, avoid being straight piped for as long as possible. It's almost inevitable if you own a VQ, but we all gotta go through that phase. I did too. One thing I will say though is definitely a must add is adding resonators to your exhaust. You can see I got some welded in, I chopped them up and stuff, but I'm running resonators on my exhaust here. And like one of my previous videos, Resonators are a huge modification for this car. It is such a helpful thing to make this exhaust sound better. I will say it once and again a million times. Get some resonators welded into your car. Resonated test pipes, anywhere you can get the resonation, it helps so much getting stuff resonated because it really deletes that rasp in this car. That is the #1 thing that gets rid of it. It's resonators. Now, I think another very good modification is going to be modifying the duckbill in the back. Well, this one I actually bought. It was really scuffed up and I wrapped it in gloss black. I just actually made a video on that as well. It was a quick short one. But this is probably one of the main options, and I don't think it's too bad. These are normally kind of a carbon fiber look for the most part when you look these up, but you can buy it in the gloss black option. I just actually wrapped it myself. I think this is a pretty damn good looking duckbill as compared to most options out there, and it's pretty cheap. You can get these for less than $100 any day. I will say there is a duckbill option out there that if you're running this, I'm sorry, but I'll put a picture up right here. These are just not the move. This kind of half duckbill where you keep the stock one, I'm sorry. I love G37s and I also hate on them. I have one so I could do it. I think it looks so fucking ugly. Like if you like it, go for it. I think it looks weird when you have like the black going over the silver. If they're both black, it actually might be a lot better. You know, I think it might look a lot better, but most of the time I see it, it just looks weird. It's like putting a wing on a wing. This one replaces it all together and just makes it one piece. I will say it's hard in general. None of these are the best of quality. You know, they're literally going on by like 3M tape, but that one's it's just not the best of options. Easily one of the best modifications for the G37 and really most cars. Suspension. The difference in how much better my car looks low as compared to when it was kind of monster trucking. I mean, look at that. That fitment is just so much better. Lets the car look so much better and cleaner and just so sleek. Like, get suspension. And I will say, I know it's hard. Try to avoid lowering springs. That's kind of like the one you don't want to do as compared to. Coilovers are so worth it on this car. I got these for $800. Save up a little bit longer if you can. If you just don't have the money, you know, get lowering springs, fuck it. It doesn't matter. Just get it lower because it does look that much better. I think lowering springs are kind of you know, you could probably find a set of coilovers on Facebook Marketplace instead of spending money on a pair of new lowering springs because they might just blow out your stock parts anyway. So, suspension. Get coilovers, try to avoid lowering springs, but in the end, lower is lower and it looks better, even if you're spending less money. Check out my channel. I got a ton of other videos, okay? I've got the modifications I've done, how much wheel horsepower I made in this car, the modifications to make, the horsepower that I made, how much the build cost, just a ton of other stuff. So check out the channel, check out my car. I make videos every like 10 days-ish. So yeah, thank you for watching. Subscribe. I love you.